I was told by 2 lawyers that I would never win guardianship over a wife of 34 years. I fired them. And
That's great.
Yeah.
Correct
I love
action.
that.
That's right.
Yes.
And I got somebody who believed in my case. And I remember going to my lawyer who took it on and said, if I can bring you people who are working at that house right now, who will tell you what's going on for real, will you take my case on? And before we sat down at California Pizza Kitchen and had all those workers walk in one at a time, he said yes.
Wow.
He took it on. And I remember having these gut feelings, and every single time I'm like, she's going to do this. Because when somebody accuses you of doing something, they're doing it themselves.
Yep,
So I'm
that's
like, okay,
right.
she's
That's
accusing
right.
this, she's doing this, let's look there. Let's go there. Let's go. I could cut her off at every pass. I won every single court, not case, but it was
Hearing?
Yeah, it's a hearing, and I'd win. And
like
I would
motions.
impeach her. Motions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I would impeach her, meaning I would show that she was not telling the truth every time. So I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to say my dad signed over a power of attorney to us. We're not going to say anything about the film. We're not going to say anything about him being on tape. She's going to call us frauds because she has done that. She has signed my father's name on documents. She's fraudulently done things like that. So she's going to accuse us. Wait, let her do it. She did exactly. She played right into our hands, and then we gave them the videotape. I actually won guardianship over my father because, my stepmother did something so egregious that I had won a visitation. Because I pulled out the Patient's Bill of Rights that I was telling you about. The Patient's Bill of Rights allows someone who is a patient to see and communicate with whoever they want. It is illegal to take away their phone, their computer, and any means of communication. So I'm on KABC on my radio show. I did a law show for 7 years in Los Angeles, and I interviewed a lawyer named Martha. And Martha said afterwards, she looks like a cute little PTA mom. She's really sweet, little blonde bob, little pearl necklace. And she's like, you can see your dad. I'm like, oh, she really doesn't know my case.
She just comes on and says this.
Yeah, she said it after I interviewed her.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, well, how? And she's like, well, you've got the Patient's Bill of Rights, and your father said in court, using his attorney, that he wanted to see his kids. Do you know how I know? I said, no, how do you know, Martha? She's like, because I was sitting in that courtroom.
Huh.
And she's like, I'm going to walk you in with the Patient's Bill of Rights in the court. We can have the minutes from the court. And we're gonna get you visitation. And lo and behold, 2 days later, I'm sitting next to my dad.
Wow.
And I call my brother and sister. I'm like, hey, we can see dad. I had
And you were able to come basically all the time, anytime afterwards?
This is what happened. Okay. So they were so relieved, the facility that they were in, because he had been kind of left there with no one. His wife had never visited. They didn't even know what she looked like. It was a barren, like pretty much barren. So even his glasses that he needed wasn't there. Like they was just left there.
So it wasn't at the house. So you had the Patient's Bill. Okay. So now you know about the Patient's Bill of Rights. At that time, you had no clue about the Patient's Bill of Rights.
None. I had no idea.
So as soon as he would have got into the facility, you knew, like, you would have been able to see him.
We could use him.
Wow.
She had kept him outside of the house, in condos, in facilities, because she had a boyfriend. So she kept him away as much as possible from the house. Yeah, it was really sad. So anyway, I won visitation. I sat with my dad for 3 hours. He's like, are you coming back? I said, Dad, we'll be back every single day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they had to tell his wife that we had a visit. She went absolutely ballistic.
Yeah.
At 3 a.m.
Yeah.
She walked into the facility. They didn't know who she was because they had never seen her before.
Yeah.
So they had to get her, license and like, who are you?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm taking him out of here. You gave him a visit with his kids. She unplugged him from his feeding tube, his IVs, everything, took him and put him in a wheelchair and threw him in the back of a truck. Like no ambulance, which he's got very thin skin. He's got, he looked fantastic when we saw him, by the way, and he could still speak a bit. Not much, but a little bit. And then she took him and nobody could find him. Nobody knew where he was. So that's when I called the police. He's missing. Nobody believed me. Nobody would talk about it. The news did. The news like, Casey Kasem is missing. His kids are trying to find him. The judge the next day ruled in my favor because his doctor said what Gene Kasem did would gravely injure or harm or cause death.
Wow.
And he gave me conservator over my father.
Wow.
It took us a couple weeks to find him because she went from state to state hiding him. By the time we found him, he was a mess. He had kidney infection. He had bed sores all over him. He was in severe pain and very, very sick. And I went to Washington with my conservatorship. And because she crossed state lines, it was no good. So I had to fight over again. So now I'm back in court in Washington, fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting.
Word.
Yeah.
Because it
at a
applies
federal
to
level?
let's say Texas, and if it wouldn't apply to Tennessee.
They're changing the law, and it's good and bad. It's good and bad because if you get into a bad conservatorship, you can just cross state lines and hopefully be okay. And now they're kind of changing that, so it's not that way.
Interesting.
Because conservators, there are some good conservators and guardians that really care about people. And then you get these predators that have 800 people under them. How are you taking care of 800 people?
Yeah.
Well, what they do when the children complain about the care, they block them. And the person dies alone. Mom or dad dies alone. And then if the loved one has enough awareness, they'll start making videos. So if you go to YouTube, you can see videos of why am I in here? Why won't they let me out? You know, I serve this country. I have a company. They've taken everything from me. Please. Why are it's the most horrible thing you can watch. And I couldn't let this go on. So as I'm doing my radio show and we're about to take off to do another tour, it was either stay and fight for my dad, which there was it wasn't even a question. It was just, yes, I'm going to stay. And then what I did was I fought in court and I was up in Sacramento trying to get a bill passed, getting people. And I started to gather so many people that this had happened to because we needed people to testify. And the first person to come and testify was Mickey Rooney's daughter. I know Mickey Rooney's a very old-time movie star. And to this day, she is one of my dearest friends. And then there was another woman named Kathy Braun. All of our dads died in the same year within a few months of each other.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Under conservatorship guardianships. I did get...
So in this case, it was... So first, your mother-in-law, Jean, she had a conservatorship.
Stepmother.
Sorry.
Stepmother didn't have anything. She was married. So she had...
she was married. Okay.
Yeah, she was married. She didn't go for that. It was interesting. I don't know if she knew. We didn't really know what we were doing, I think, any of us. But I did win again in Washington, and I got to spend the last 2 weeks of his life by his bed. My brother flew back in from Singapore where he was living. My sister was there. His brother came, my aunt, and one of his right-hand man, Gons. And we were all with him for 2 weeks. And my stepmother, in court, I said, he wants to see you. It's like, I am the conservator. I have conservatorship. You do what the person wants, not what you want.
Yeah.
My dad wanted to see her. None of us wanted her there, but that's not about us.
Right.
It's about what does he want.
Right.
She came in, she made a whole scene that we're killing him and that he's blinking and giving SOS saying, I need to be out of here. My dad couldn't talk at that point, unable to really communicate. You can look around and stuff. He's not doing SOS with his eyes. A nurse was in there, said he grabbed my hand and wouldn't hold on. None of that was true. And she's telling the media that we're killing him for money or this or that. It's like, we welcomed you there. We want you there. When my father was dying and we knew he had a day left, we called and called and called. My attorney called, never answered the phone.
Wow.
Never answered, didn't care to be there. My half-sister didn't care to be there. They were gone. And they had a court order that they could be there with us. So it was very sad. It was a horrible situation, but from the hundreds of letters I got, I couldn't just say I'm going to fight for my family. I had to fight for everybody else. So, long story short, I ended up winning the case with my father. Sad ending, but I won that. And then the next year, I passed a law in California. Now there's 2 laws. I just passed another law a year ago, allowing visitation You ask, so if somebody's been blocked from visitation to mom or dad, they can go into court and ask for visitation without having a huge hearing, without having to, get a lawyer. It's
just a routine.
Right. So the evidence is transferred to the perpetrator, the one stopping.